What's up, Knicks fans? We are so excited to announce that this summer, Fanatics Fest is returning to New York City, taking over the Javits Center from Thursday, July 16th to Sunday, July 19th. Meet your favorite athletes from every major league, including current New York Knicks like Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Knicks legend Patrick Ewing. Catch live podcasts and panels featuring some of the biggest names in sports while experiencing interactive activations from top leagues and brands. You can grab exclusive merch and discover one-of-a-kind memorabilia from sports and entertainment. Buy, sell, and trade collectibles with hundreds of top dealers. Connect with fans around the world who share your passion for sports. Tickets are on sale now at fanaticsfest.com, and when you use promo code KNICKSFILM10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off your purchase. It's an extra day of the world's #1 sports fan festival coming together under one roof, and you don't want to miss it.
All right. That was fun. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where we are here to talk about a basketball game. Final score doesn't really matter. God, I cannot wait till we get to the summer so they could blow this team the fuck up. Has there been a more unlikable, very good basketball team in NBA history? I never had to root for, Karl Malone, so that's the first name that comes to my mind. I'm sure there's some other obvious ones. But, I don't know, some of those Laker teams that were, good, but just, like the Dwight Nash team, they won, 40-something games. I can't imagine that they were very likable. The Knicks haven't played basketball games since Wednesday against the Sixers. It was a great win, fun win, and I was loading up on content for a couple of days after that. Pre-wrote a bunch of newsletters, pre-recorded a bunch of pods, and then officially started my vacation on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right up until today at 7:30. I did not give this team an ounce of thought. Other than a couple of times where I needed to do a quick edit to one of the newsletters that I had pre-written, where I had to I was forced to think about them. And I was seeing all the tweets and things today before the game talking about playoff atmosphere and you got to get up for this one and, heavyweight fight and all this stuff. I'm just man, I'm not up for this at all. I just don't. And I started asking myself, is it me? That's usually what I do in these situations. I'm is it me? Have I been doing this shit for too long? Have I done one too many post games, written one too many newsletters? Where it's just the fan part of me is just not there in the way that it used to be. And then I'll sit down and I'll watch a game like this, and I'll find myself getting madder and madder and madder and madder, with a healthy dose of disappointment thrown in, but mostly just mad. And I'm no, because if I didn't care anymore, if I was if the fan part of me was dead, if I was just completely now fully content creator, John Macri, I'll put, here, I got my Knicks fan hat over here. I just, put on the Knicks fan hat for the look of it, then I wouldn't give a shit. I genuinely wouldn't give a shit. And I guarantee y'all, I could still come on here and I could act like I give a shit. I could. But I wouldn't really give a shit. So I know that that's not it. It's not that that part of me is dead. And the reality is, I just didn't miss this team play basketball at all. Because why? What about them is likable? I'm serious. I'm asking everybody out there watching right now, listening on podcast form, whatever. If anybody out there like loves this team, like really loves this team, why do you? And I don't mean you love Jalen Brunson, because it's easy to love Jalen Brunson. You know, Jalen Brunson, you know, the one guy who I would wager actual real American dollars on, cared a lot tonight, cared about the result tonight, cared about what happened tonight. That's not what I'm talking about. You know, and I'm not talking about you love the way the team makes you feel when they have big wins, and you love certain moments, and you love certain players at certain times, and all those sorts of things. I'm not talking about that. I'm like, does anybody out there actually love this team? Do you have a real strong emotional connection to this basketball team? And I'm convinced that if that number in terms of a percentage of like fans out there is probably in the single digits. And even then, I'm like, if you told me like there are 7% of Knicks fans out there that love this Knicks team, I'd be like, go find me those 7% of people. I want to. And again, to be clear, I'm not talking about loving the Knicks as a franchise. Like, I love the Knicks. I will always love the Knicks. This is why, if I didn't love them, I would have gotten out of this a long time ago. The only reason I am still in this, the only reason we stay in unhealthy relationships is because of love. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about loving this roster that has been assembled. And I just don't know why anybody would have any reason to. You know, we've been having, you know, I could sit here and I could crash out. And I guess that was a version of a crash out because I'm running out of new and interesting and fun ways to crash out about this team. Now, a year and 2/3 of the way into the experience, whatever this experience it is, we should probably think of a name for it. And I could sit here and I could yell and scream, and it's embarrassing, and this and that, and the whole. Like, we've done it. How many times? How many times did we do it last year? How many times have we done it this year? How many times are we going to do it again over the rest of the regular season? Like, it's getting old. Like, honestly. Like, I think I'm pretty good at doing this. And even me, I'm like, this is getting fucking old. What is there new? What did we learn tonight? Let's go there. Let's talk about the basketball game. Okay. Let's talk about the basketball game. The Pistons are... Jesus, maybe I shouldn't talk about the basketball game. The Pistons are at this point what I will call a rich man's version of the 23-24 Knicks. The team that I not only can I not stop talking about them, I feel like I'm just going to talk about them more because it's like it's the comforting thought that gets me to fall asleep at night. Like we had that, the 2023-24 team. This Pistons team is a rich man's version of that. Because Cade Cunningham, two-way superstar, says he's the best American player in the sport. It's tough to disagree with him. And they just, everything about them makes sense. Everything about the way they play makes sense. Every possession that they go about on both ends of the floor has a plan. They execute that plan. They have built it up slowly but surely, making incremental improvements. They never went out and made any big flashy trade. It's just adding while retaining that quality about them that has made them, you know, an interesting basketball team for a while. Even when they were dog shit, you looked at some of their pieces and you're like, man, there's maybe something there. And now 2 years later, and now they're the best team in the East. So that's where we could start. The Pistons, class of the East. No conversation about the fact that they're the class of the East. any conversation that was going to happen about them being the class of the, unless Jason Tatum comes back and wants to make it a conversation. There's no conversation about the fact that they're the class of the East. And they're just, and look, I still don't think that, I do not look at them and I do not see an NBA championship team. I've been pretty clear about that all season long, because I just think when they play a real defense will have ways to stop them in ways that will really disrupt not what even they want to do, but like what you need to be able to do to score enough points in a basketball game against, again, a good team. Which leads me to the second thing, which is that this Knicks defense, when facing a real offense, and the Pistons are not a great offense, but they are a very real NBA offense in this sense. If you are a team that has multiple spots to pick at, this Pistons team knows exactly how to pick at them, knows they don't settle for anything. Like, watching this basketball game, how many times would you say the Pistons really settled on an offensive possession? You could probably count them on one hand. And why would you settle on an offensive possession if you're the Pistons? Because you have two glaring, like, open sores that are bleeding, they are pussing, they are festering wounds in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns on defense, where it's like it's like going to the buffet at the Wynn. It's like, how many plates do I get? You know, can I get a bowl? Can I balance a bowl on my arm as I am carrying one plate in this hand and one plate in this other hand? And it's just a matter of which way you want to go, you know? And then you're supposed to have this defensive infrastructure around those two players. And we could talk about that defensive infrastructure. How about OG Anunoby, the guy who started this year looking like an all-defense guy, then went 20 games looking like a middle-of-the-road defender, and then another 8 or so games looking like an all-defense guy again, and now tonight looked like he only came to MSG because somebody told him, hey, if you miss any more games, you're going to miss your paycheck. Oh, okay. Well, I better show up then. Did not participate in the basketball game. You have Mikal Bridges. Remember him? I gave Mikal Bridges a B+ for his first half performance of the first 2/3 of the season in my newsletter. Boy, oh boy. That's already aging wonderfully. There was a possession, I think it was the early fourth quarter, maybe 7, 8, 9 minutes left in the game, whatever it was. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was earlier in the fourth. Maybe it was even late in the third. I forget. Cade Cunningham had Landry Shamet on him. Now, Landry Shamet, 6'3", but I love Landry Shamet, and he got an A grade, and I wouldn't change that after tonight. One of the few dependable players on this team, Landry Shamet. And he was guarding Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham has whatever he has, 3-4 inches on Landry Shamet. And Cade Cunningham called, I forget who Mikal Bridges was guarding, but called him up to set the screen. And I'm like, is what I think happening actually happening? Cade Cunningham wants to get Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet. Minimum contract player. 6'3", Landry Shamet. 185 pounds soaking wet. I mean, he's pretty ripped, so I don't know. Maybe that's being a little ungenerous. Whatever he is. Landry Shamet. I'm going to get Landry Shamet switched off of me so I could get Mikal Bridges to guard me, and then I'm going to drill a jumper in his face just because I can. So that's part of your defensive infrastructure. Mitchell Robinson had some nice moments and also was not anywhere near the defensive force that we've seen him be at times. Look, he's been the best offensive rebounder in the sport all year long. It's been probably the most consistent thing about this basketball team. Defensively for him, it comes and goes. And then when you add that to the fact that he only plays 20 minutes a night, and tonight I didn't think they were particularly great 20 minutes. So he's another part of your defensive infrastructure. And then all the way down the line, and yeah, you have these other pieces. You have an Alvarado now. You have Landry Shamet, who always tries hard. Those guys are 6'3" and 5'11". you know? Who am I forgetting? Josh Hart. Oh, another guy. The fact that I forgot Josh Hart should even be part of this conversation. Again, when's the last time anyone talked about Josh Hart as part of the defensive infrastructure? And again, I love Josh Hart. Love Josh Hart. He has not earned the right to be considered a part of that conversation. So you have this Pistons team that knows exactly what they want to do on every possession on both ends of the court. We'll get to the other end in a bit. And they have these two gaping wounds that they could pick at on any given possession, except when one of them's out of the game. Then you have only one gaping wound. And yet you don't fear really any of the other stuff around. I mean, I actually love that Mike Brown tried Jeremy Sohan for a bit there in the second half. I mean, I quite literally have nothing to lose at that point. So he tried it. Maybe we see him more. I mean, I was about to say, maybe we see him more in the playoffs when these two teams play. That would assume that the Knicks will get to the point where they play the Pistons in the playoffs. But it was good to see him try that. And then, of course, Cade had his way with him on that one possession, which was just lovely. So, yeah, the Knicks as a defense, they could look pretty good against a lot of teams. They could look great against bad teams. And they could look pretty good against a lot of other teams. But when you have a team that is huge, and the fucking Pistons are ginormous, and has, like, it's crazy to say because the Pistons have like one legitimate shooting threat in Duncan Robinson because Herter's not even playing. But like that's all you need because what do the Pistons do? What are they in constant? What are they constantly are doing? They're in constant motion. And how do you beat this Knicks team? You just move the ball and you wait for someone to make a mistake. You find the mismatch, and you're always going to be able to find the mismatch because there's always going to be one on the court. You trust the fact that if you stick with trying to exploit the mismatch, eventually one of their supposed A+ or A- level defenders is going to get screened off. So you're going to get the mismatch. And then you're going to wait for the help to come, and then you're just going to ping, ping, ping. Even if you're a team like the Pistons that does not have the shooting like teams like Boston have had in the past, if you pass the ball around, you're going to get something pretty good. And then, oh, by the way, when you miss a shot, you're probably got a pretty good chance to get the offensive rebound, which how many times did that kill the Knicks tonight too? After that fake comeback in the fourth quarter where it got down to whatever it got down to, I think it was 12 or something with 3 or 4 minutes left, was it? And then 2 offensive rebounds on the same play. And that's going to lead me to the third thing, which is that I think at this point, Detroit is in New York's head. I think Detroit is in New York's head. I think the fact that the Knicks came out tonight and they started, I think it was 2 of 20 or 2 of 21 or something like that from 3. I think that's evidence of that. I think the fact that they don't really seem to have any coherent plan for getting Karl Anthony Towns involved in the offense. And I understand I've been talking for 20 minutes, and that's probably going to be the first line of like, well, why did it take so long for Karl Anthony Towns to get involved in the basketball game? He ended up with, I'm sure, wonderful numbers because Karl Anthony Towns always seems to wind up with wonderful numbers. Yeah, 21 and 11. Looks great. 7 of 14. Great game, Cat. Like no plan to get him involved at all. And then I say that somewhat facetiously because what did I say after the 4th game of the season against Milwaukee? I said it then, and a lot of people got mad at me for saying it then. Nothing has changed. It's been 10 years. Oh, who's the coach that's going to unlock Karl Anthony Towns? Why can no one unlock Karl Anthony Towns? Who do we have to play Karl Anthony Towns with to fully unlock him? Is the point guard has to unlock Karl Anthony Towns. The coach has to unlock Karl Anthony Towns. He has to play with 4 shooters on the floor. That's the be all end all. 4 shooters on the floor. Guess fucking what? Guess what? The Pistons guarded him with a center tonight. It didn't matter. And it's almost like they avoided the matchup more after the Pistons put a center on him tonight. They have no plan for how to integrate this player against a physical team, and it's because this player has no way to handle the physicality that a Pistons team brings to you on a nightly basis when you play them. And I'm happy he got going. It was nice to see him get going. And you know what got him going? Himself. Because he decided, hey, I'm going to give it a little bit extra. And we get to see those spurts. And those spurts, they are like birdies in golf. You could be the most absolute abhorrent, like 35 handicap golfer on the planet, where playing 18 holes is consistently a miserable experience for 17 of those 18 holes. And then you get that one birdie and it keeps coming back for more. That's what that little run of Karl-Anthony Towns in the third quarter, that's what it was. I'll call that the birdie. We're gonna shout out the birdie every time we see it from Cat from here until he is off this team. Because there's always a birdie. Every almost, although he's had a couple of games this year where there was no birdie, but there's usually a birdie. There's almost always a birdie. So, and what does he do? He motivates himself. He plays with a little pep in his step, as opposed to the wet fish that we saw over the first half. And but again, to sit here and kill Towns when nobody showed up in this game in a real way, other than Jalen Brunson on the offensive end, that's not fair. That's not fair. I understand he's a frustrating player, but like he's the least of the concerns tonight. So yeah, I don't really know where you go from here if you're a Knicks fan like we are. I'm sure they'll pull together. They always seem to. They'll make they'll have a nice run here in the regular season. I'm sure they'll still finish with 50 plus wins, 50, 51, 52, second, third seed, whatever. Probably win a playoff series. Probably, you can tell me they win multiple playoff series. Nothing would surprise me. And yet I'm really like just at the point where, what I was thinking, what I thought of. I've been reading a book about, of course, because it's the only thing I really care about other than basketball, a book about Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, and George Lucas. It's called The Last Kings of Hollywood. I think I've mentioned it on the pod before. It's phenomenal. I started it on Saturday. I'm 250 page in. I can't put it down. But I've been thinking about movies, trying to watch, movies at night before I go to bed, with no basketball to watch. And I was thinking, I thought about it earlier watching this game, about the line in the beginning of The Social Network that when the Mark Zuckerberg character and his girlfriend, well, not his girlfriend for very long, they're having a conversation, and she says, dating you is like dating a Stairmaster. And it's such a great line. And here's this brilliant guy, and he's got everything going for him, the whole thing. And because of his, unique ways about him, this girl has just absolutely had enough. And I think it's just a perfect analogy for this Knicks team. They are so freaking talented. They have all the talent in the world. You watch them on the right night, and they will look like the greatest basketball team ever assembled. They have convinced all of us. They have convinced me, and they will convince me again, much to my detriment, many times before we are done this season, that they are capable of winning a championship. And yet, I really cannot wait until the day where they break this thing up. It is not fucking worth the frustration. And it's a year and a half of this bullshit. It is a year and a half of this bullshit with this team. And again, I'll end the monologue by asking the same question that I started out with. If you really love this team, and you really believe in this team as this roster, this complexion, this collection of guys, tell me why. Tell me I'm overreacting. Tell me tonight was all about cold shooting, and the Pistons got up for the game, and the Knicks have been there before, so they didn't get up for the game, and they'll get up for Please sell me all the bullshit. I'm here for it. I'm a willing consumer. I don't think you're going to be successful, but happy to listen. All right. That's all I got. What do we got tonight? We got Best Bets, of course, presented by our friends at Fanatics Sportsbook. So we had, I was off tonight, didn't have the video picks, was not one of the three best bettors tonight. Unfortunately, only one of our best bets was actually a best bet tonight, and that is courtesy of Jeff, who has been killing it in these. He is now 18-14 on the year. He took Mikal Bridges 4 or more first quarter points. He hit that. Congratulations to him. Sean with a W. Sean, I don't know if Sean's watching right now. I did weekly wagers with Sean earlier today, and we were talking about the game, and I was like, again, I'm the idiot. I was like, Knicks given only 3.5 points here? That's easy money. The Pistons don't have Duren. They don't have Isaiah Stewart. Knicks are going to get up for this game. They're going to take this game seriously. I'm sure the Pistons are going to fight for a little while, but the Knicks are going to pull this thing away. And then Sean didn't disagree with me, but he was like, man, if at any point in time the Pistons go up by 20 in this game, I'm going to boo. And everybody should boo because I think Sean went to the game tonight. I'm like, go up by 20. And again, who's the asshole? It's this guy, me. Because I'm like, what are you talking about? Go up by 20. They don't have either of their top two centers who are so important to their team. And I thought of Sean so many times tonight. You know why? Because I'm pretty sure the Pistons' biggest lead was 19 points. So Sean, I guess you got your wish. The Pistons never went up by 20 points. It's just absolutely staggering what they allowed this team, what they allowed Cade Cunningham to do to them. Mike Brown is answering questions right now about how they defended Cade Cunningham. You know what you got to do when you defend Cade Cunningham? You got to try really hard. You got to be committed. You got to have discipline. Like, play up to your capabilities defensively, as opposed to what you did tonight, and just lollygag your way around the court. Doesn't matter what fucking game plan you have. If you defend that dude with the level of malaise that they had tonight, I don't care what the game plan is. I truly don't. Although I did find it pretty amusing that Mike Brown said before the game, yeah, they got it. Of course, they how much did they beat us by in the two games? Like, yeah, there's a little something extra. Yeah, clearly the Knicks are buying everything he's selling. Our last best bet, Andrew, Karl-Anthony Towns, 12 or more rebounds. Cat ended up with 11. Tough beat there. But, yeah, so 1 out of 3, and we move. Those are your best bets presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. All right, let's talk about this nonsense, because what else do we have to do? Hush Zoo starts us off. The way Mike Brown uses Cat hurts my brain. No play calls for him, or we're just watching JB brute force his way through Asar and make a play. Why? I got a question for you, Hush. Why are we asking the same questions about Karl-Anthony Towns almost 11 years into his career? The questions you're asking and the question Knicks fans everywhere are asking have been asked of every coach that have ever coached this player. Why? I'm asking you. I don't know the answer. Why? Why is this Groundhog Day? At what point is it maybe not the coach's fault? I'm not saying Brown's doing a great job. Like, Tibbs got Cat a lot more, or seemed like Tibbs got Cat a lot more stuff last year, as everybody was ready to fire Tibbs because he wasn't utilizing Karl-Anthony Towns properly enough. And now we have a new coach who's more focused on the offense, and he's utilizing Towns in the ways that we have long said to utilize Towns. He's utilizing him in those ways even less. I guess Mike Brown's the newest idiot, right? Because Tibbs was the idiot, and then Chris Finch before him, he was the idiot, and then whoever the fuck the Minnesota coach was before him, he was the idiot. Every coach that Karl-Anthony Towns has ever had, none of them could use him properly. None of them, not a one. Why? Next up. 914 Sergio Acosta. What's going on, Sergio? At this point, it's fucking sad. Hashtag pretenders. I mean, I wish I had an argument. I really did. I wish I had an argument. Thanks, Sergio. Bill Peter friend. Cat terrible. Team isn't as good as Detroit. Their size make it a matchup nightmare. Yes. We aren't winning the East if we go through them. Disappointed in the game plan after a long break. What game plan? Seriously, what game plan? You know, but again, a game plan is only good. I'm sorry to have to do this, but to quote the last guy who had this job, is the effort there? Is the execution there? Those are always the two questions. Before you change the game plan, before you change the scheme, before you change the personnel, before you do any of that stuff, is the effort there? Is the execution there? Ask yourselves. Was the execution there at any point in time on defense? We were not 4 minutes into the game, and I'm like, I am not impressed at all with the defense. The Pistons were like 1 of 8 or 1 of 9 or whatever they were to start off, and I'm like, this is not New York's defense that's doing this. This is just the Pistons are missing some shots, and they are not executing. It was nothing impressive. I saw an undisciplined group. I didn't like the closeouts. I didn't like the screen navigation. I didn't like the hustle. I mean, it's not like they went out there and they lollygagged it. It wasn't that. Like they have probably the last time these two teams played. Actually, no, last time I thought they played good defense to start. It was the time before that. Excuse me. Getting my Pistons blowouts confused. But so it's like I don't even know how to judge the game plan because if you're gonna give that level of defensive effort and execution against a real team, and they have the best record in the league. Pretty real team to me. How are we supposed to judge the game plan? And then offensively, I don't know. I have a little bit less smoke for them offensively tonight because, again, they missed 1,000 threes and whatever. But, no, I didn't love the game plan offensively either. Unimpressive. Next up. Thanks, Bill. Jack Corcoran. What's going on, Jack? I am now officially sounding the alarm on the season. If Cat can't stretch the floor, why is he here? Punked at home with Detroit down their top 2 bigs. What the F? Yeah. Yeah, to me, look, there have been a lot of sky is falling moments, but the thing about the first Pistons game, they didn't try. The MLK game, they didn't try. Other games, there's been spotlights on one player in particular, often Cat, but I digress. This game, They came out, and I know I just killed their effort. They didn't completely dog it in this game. They went out there and they were intending to participate in the basketball game. And it was almost like they could not ratchet up the appropriate level of intensity that is required of a Knicks team that has the weak spot that they do. It is almost as if they came into the basketball game thinking, well, we're better than this team. So if we just give a commensurate effort, that's fine. And the sad reality is, because of the matchup stuff that a lot of people have mentioned already, and I'm sure are going to come up again, they need to give more effort than the Pistons to win games against this team the way they are now. That's where this matchup is right now. Let's just face facts, And they did not approach this game like that. And it felt like at no point in time could they ratchet up that level of intensity. And again, what has this team done at all that makes you think that they are going to be able to ratchet up to 11 on the intensity scale when they really need to? What about their resume makes you think that that's in the cards? I can't see it. And Cat, yeah, greatest shooting big man of all time. Just it's nice in theory. Thanks, Jack. Anthony, what's going on, Anthony? I know we had certain problems with Tibbs last year, but I'm starting to miss those problems compared to this year's problems. Well, listen, it's What do you want me to tell you? I tried to tell you guys for years. Tibbs wasn't the problem. But nobody seemed to want to listen to me. Thanks, Anthony. Riyadh, what's going on, Riyadh? If we are lucky enough to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, Detroit in 5. I mean, look, Cleveland actually, I think they're going to pass the Knicks in the standings today. Hold on. Because the Pistons, the Cavs played I think they played like the Nets tonight. Yeah, they're tied in the standings right now. 35 and 21. Both teams are 35 and 21. So I like the notion that the Eastern Conference Finals are a guarantee. You know, the Knicks could absolutely finish 4th. And even if they finish 2nd or 3rd, like, are they beaten? Are we anybody who watched that team tonight feel like uber confident they're beating the Celtics with Tatum? Or for that matter, Celtics without Tatum? Or Cleveland? You know? Thanks, Riyadh. Rich McLeod, what's going on, my man? Punked. Yeah, man. And they allowed themselves to get punked. They did not have the extra gear. Thanks. TJ2K's burner. Tibbs doesn't lose to JB Bickerstaff. No 3 equals no plan. Look, Tibbs always had the coaching advantage on all but probably 3 or 4 coaches in the league. I think this has since come out, but like when the Knicks faced the Cavs in the playoffs in 2021, right? It was 2021? No, 2023, excuse me. 2023. Like I remember hearing what people behind the scenes with the Knicks were saying about what how significant the coaching advantage would be. And now they have Mike Brown, who's a fine NBA coach. And I think he's done a really nice job this year overall. But you hired him to take you up a level from where Tibbs got you to. Tibbs got you to the Eastern Conference Finals. You hire Mike Brown to get you to the finals. So, unfortunately, he's always going to be graded against the guy that he replaced. And the expectation is that he makes it further and that he improves on the things that Tibbs had issues with. Now, Tibbs was the coach of the team last year when they got their doors blown off by the Celtics, by the Cavs, by the Thunder, by all those teams in every game they played last year. And then he figured out the way in the playoffs, and they figured out a way in the playoffs. So I want to give Mike Brown the same benefit of the doubt. Thanks, man. Ron Tequila, what's going on, Ron? This is beyond pathetic and embarrassing. Yes. Agreed. Cosign. Thanks, Ron. Hush Sue with another one. Why is JB so turnover prone against Detroit? Because they're long and physical. And they make the beautiful offense that we've seen the Knicks display this year really, really tough. So what happens when teams make that sort of offense tough to execute? You go default into your tried and true stuff, which for the Knicks is just Jalen go create for us. I wonder how much of it was the fact that they weren't hitting threes and Brunson's like, at least I could get us a good shot, which he did a lot. And Brunson had, I think, overall a really good game. But like, listen, I'll kill a lot of guys tonight. I have a tough time killing Jalen Brunson for this one. I may be in the minority. I love Jalen Brunson. I'm always going to side with Jalen Brunson. I'm always going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, 6 turnovers is 6 turnovers. So It's not good enough. Thanks, Hush. Adam, what's going on, Adam? Thanks for the contribution, man. JDM, Pistons took that Josh Hart missed Tim Hardaway Jr. call personally this season. There's a universe where that series goes 7 and the Knicks lose. Oh, I've been saying it all year. I've been saying it all year that this notion that the Knicks are something that they are not is born of the fact that they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I went through it. Like, I at no point in time versus the Pistons was I impressed with how they played. That series was the most frustrating, unenjoyable 6-game series win. It was night and day from the Sixers series the year earlier. The Sixers series the year earlier was another 6-game win, series win in 6 games, where the quality of the basketball was so high, and the Knicks needed to play and did play so well to beat that team and overcame so many of their own flaws. Whereas that series against the Pistons, where the Knicks I don't think they played their game at all. They at no point in time that I feel like they really executed, other than in some stretches and some fourth quarters, which is great. And the Pistons they were young, and Cade Cunningham had for him an atrocious series. Did not shoot the basketball well and turned the ball over a ton. So, yeah, the Knicks won the series in 6, but again, one or two plays goes differently. That series could go 7 easily. And who the hell knows what happens. So, yeah. I know, again, the Pistons keep saying we feel like that series could have gone the other way, and they're not wrong. They're really not wrong. Thanks, JDM. I am AK Legend. I blame Cat again. The season he has ended for about the 5th time so far. Something isn't right with the starting 5. No, it's not. Look, I've been the one saying this since last year. All right? I've been the one saying this since last year. I've been very consistent about it. The starting 5 does not work. There's something that doesn't add up. It's not a Josh Hart spacing issue. It is something about those 5 dudes on the court together. The reason why I'm struggling a little bit tonight is the version of OG Anunoby that we saw tonight, and maybe this whole game looks very differently if OG Anunoby is OG Anunoby as opposed to the shell of OG Anunoby that we saw tonight. Because if OG Anunoby is OG Anunoby, he's hitting several of those open threes, and he's actually limiting Cade Cunningham. So it makes it more difficult for the Pistons to get into their, get the snowball rolling downhill, and everything changes. Again, there's a reason why I said, not kidding, earlier this season, is OG Anunoby the most important player on the Knicks? I have self-corrected since then. It is Jalen Brunson. But I really do believe he is the second most important player on the team. Because here's the thing. We have seen them beat good teams without Cat playing well. We have seen them beat good teams without Mikal Bridges playing well. We have seen them beat good teams without Josh Hart playing well. If OG Anunoby is not OG Anunoby, they really just, I know they beat Boston without him, before on Super Bowl Sunday. It helped the Boston miss 1,000,000 threes, but I thought their defense was really good just without OG that game. But really, it is just tough to imagine them winning at a consistent level against good teams with the version of OG Anunoby we saw tonight. So, thanks, IMAK. JDM with another one. I might have an aneurysm if we extend Towns. They're not. Listen, unless they win the championship, this is Karl Anthony Towns' last year on the team. There's gonna be. I mean, I don't know who's going to be making the decisions. It may be Leon Rose. It may not be Leon Rose. If I had to bet right now, I would bet that there's going to be a different lead decision maker making the decisions when the time comes to make the decisions this summer. That would be my bet, the way this is going. But yeah, no, they're not going to extend Towns. They can't. They can't extend Towns. Come on. Thanks, JDM. Hush with another one. Paying $80 million to Wingstop for Cade to drop 40. Yeah, it was one of the more underwhelming Wingstop games of the season. It was one of OG Anunoby's 2 or 3 worst games of the season. I know Mikal hit some shots. I thought he was a complete non-factor in the basketball game. And Hart, same thing. Thanks, Hush. Z Raheem, what's going on, Z? What's the excuse this time? It's amen. Yes. 100,000%. My favorite chat of the night. What's the excuse this time? Fully healthy except Deuce and Detroit -2 of their best. Tired of trying to logic my way through these ass whoopings. Why would you? Why would you, Z? Why would you? It's the definition of insanity. How many versions of this postgame have I done since they assembled this roster? And I get it. We're not the only team that this happens to. I don't know if there's like a version of like Timberwolves Film School. If there was, they're the only other team in the league that I imagine would have this, which is ironic because they're the team that traded Karl-Anthony Towns to us. They're the only other team that has had the same number of crash outs among good teams in the league over the last 2 years. Because they have like maddening losses. But there just aren't any other teams like, yes, every team, I think there has things that frustrate their fans. Like Boston, when they were really rolling, like every time that they would lose, it would always feel like a self-inflicted loss. Like when we play our game, no one can beat us. And then when they would lose, it would inevitably be like, well, why aren't we playing our game? Yeah. But that's just like, there's a difference between like not playing your game and showing up in such a way that makes your fans question the basketball decision-making ability of the people that built the roster. Which it feels like every time we get one of these, and we've had a dozen, 15, whatever it is over the last 2 or last year and a half. Every time it feels like we're looking at it and we're like, why did they think this was a good idea? Why did they think this would work? And then you could, if you want to point to other decisions along the way, whatever. But it's really frustrating, man. It's really frustrating. Thanks, Z. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, man? We fire Tibbs for this shit? Fuck the ceiling if you can't get off the floor. Great line, Haitian. Great line. Versus this team. Where's the offense I was sold on? JB Bickerstaff owns Brown. That's an unsettling thought. Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, the offense looks great against bad teams. It has, and they've worked more stuff in and the whole thing. When you get a defense like this, it's a different animal. It's a different animal. Thanks, Haitian. Hush with another one. It's wild. Duran did not play all 3 games against us. Yeah, and he's awesome. He's really good. He's really, 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 really good. And you want to talk about they're not going to know what to do with it. He's going to eat Karl-Anthony Towns for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, and brunch the next day if these two teams play again this year. Thanks, Hush. Dr. Crawford, what's going on, man? Does any 7-footer get blocked strip more than Cat? Well, that's what happens when you don't get physical and when you don't go up tough with the basketball. The funniest thing about the challenged call that I think was originally called a foul on Detroit and they overturned it to a foul on Towns was I watched that in real time and he got the offensive, I think it was an offensive rebound, right? He got the offensive rebound. And like, I'm not saying like the seas parted, like there were clearly Pistons around him, but like there was absolutely an opportunity for him to just power up with the basketball and dunk it. Like hundreds, of 7-footers throughout the history of the league who are far less talented than Karl Anthony Towns. And yet he like recedes, and then as he recedes, he does the elbow thing, which is like I don't even know at this point. Is there like a magnet in his elbow that is attracted to like a certain type of bone fragment in the elbows of or arms of other players? Like, is it, maybe it's a physiological thing. You know what? Maybe that's it. I think we need to study Karl Anthony Towns' elbows for, maybe we could find a cure to some sort of infectious disease if we do that. I think that's maybe some good can come of this next season after all. Yes. Speaking, Dr. Crawford, I wonder if you're a real doctor. If you are, tell me what you think of the wisdom of that. Next up, Pundertaker, my Lord. Thank you for the generous contribution on this night of all nights. Truly, it makes the fact that I am spending some of my what's left of my vacation talking about this freaking disaster of a game. Thank you. It means a lot. First comment ever, long-time listener. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. It's always vindicating after games to turn on KFS. Cat has been one of my favorite players for a long time, but at some point, it can't always be someone else around him. Wish the professionalism matched the person. Love you guys. Well, that's really kind, man. And let me try to I've never heard anybody say a bad word about Karl Anthony Towns, the person. If you're someone out there who's watching and has not had the opportunity to read the John Krasinski piece, John Krasinski, of course, the Athletic beat writer who does just a phenomenal job covering the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's a piece he wrote when Karl was traded to the Knicks, and told of basically Karl Anthony Towns had always said he was going to do a solid for John, because much more of a kind of a family atmosphere over there, and certainly more than with the beat writers here, and he did, and he just told this beautiful story. And he does. There's things he does behind the scenes that some you've read about, some I'm sure we don't know about. He is, not by all accounts, but there's no question he's a good dude. And from afar, I was always conflicted with Cat. And I was conflicted with Cat because I was a teacher for 10 years, as you probably know, if you've been a fan of the show for a while. And there was only one thing that drove me crazy as a teacher, and it was bullying. And I hated it, and I couldn't stand for it. And it was the only times I ever lost my cool with a kid was when I thought that there was bullying going on. And for years and years and years, I would watch Karl Anthony Towns, and I would say he gets bullied. And I said it's unfair because no one, and I would watch how other NBA players reacted towards him and said the things they said about him. And again, I'd like to think I'm a pretty decent NBA fan. I've watched all of his playoff games and watched the play-in games, and he had some moments that were not great. And I know about the regular season stuff too. And the 62, I think it was 62 point game against the Hornets that Chris Finch was like lost his shit after that game because of what that game devolved into. And there were other instances. And again, I paid attention to the constant conversation because of when the Knicks hired Tibbs. I went back and tried to do as much research on Tibbs's time as coach of the Timberwolves. And I just tried to read like a lot of local stuff that like, blogs wrote about that time and this and that. And so I was very, very, very aware of the fact that like Cat engendered a lot of frustration amongst fans, but like a lot of people, where it was like, you have all this talent. Why is this so hard? Why is this not adding up? But then you threw in all the other stuff about how we would get treated. And then he did have some really big moments in playoffs games before he came here. And so I wanted to believe, Mulder and Scully. I wanted to believe maybe there was a level that of consistency and engagement and like, man, I got it all out in front of me here. I just got to put it together, that he had not yet reached. And then he came here, and I thought last season was a really good season. It wasn't a perfect season, but I thought it was a really good season. And then the playoffs happened, and I got more and more frustrated as the playoffs went on. And then, the reporting almost as soon as they were eliminated, and that fucking paragraph. Sorry, Fred, I love you, but you wrote it. You, Fred Katz, are and James Edwards III, because it was co-written by the two of you. The two of you are the undoing of this Knicks team if it goes down this way. That one paragraph that is hanging over this basketball team, this roster to this day, about not only did they question whether he could do it, they questioned whether he understood the seriousness of the task at hand. And then you read that and you think about all of the quotes and all of the things that he says about how he, and you start to put the pieces together in your head about a guy who is talking himself up as a guy who has already accomplished the things that he has set out to accomplish. Maybe not everything, but like when someone says, I'm the greatest shooting big man of all time, they're inherent in that statement is I have scaled a mountaintop. When the guy says, I think us winning a play-in game was more impressive than, I think he was, what did he say? More impressive than like the Nuggets winning the championship, whatever the fuck he said. It's like, you put the pieces together and it's like, is the level of seriousness there to show up and be fully committed possession after possession after grueling possession in every big moment of every big game? Or at least 85% of the time, 90% of the time, whatever. And I fight myself because I've been unfair in the past, and I look back on those moments, and I don't like how I feel about things I've said in the past against players, or about players. And yet, it's like I'm trying to ice skate uphill by not exercising some level of judgment based on what we have seen so far. And it's really hard. And I just don't know what to do anymore because I watch the same basketball you're all watching. And how do you watch a first half like that with some of the defensive indifference? And again, was anybody on the Knicks really good defensively or just good period defensively? No, nobody was good defensively in that game. But there's not being good, and then there's just not taking it seriously enough, not being engaged enough. And I don't know how you win with that on your team. I don't know. Thanks again for the generous contribution, my man. And thanks for being a long-time fan and listener. Tony, what's going on, Tony? A guy who's my height and a buyout guy had the best effort tonight on Cade. Inexcusable. There's levels to this, and we're simply not there. Yeah. Why is that? Why was that? Again, I just went off on Cat. Cat had a much better game than OG Anunoby. I know OG had like 4 blocks. He had a couple of nice possessions, off-ball defense. Like, where were you tonight, man? Was it the toe? I hope it's the toe. Really, I hope it's the toe. Thanks, Tony. Jacob Levin, what's going on, Jacob? We're good, not great. Trying to enjoy the season while bracing for disappointment. It's an awkward, confusing, and frustrating season for us diehard fans. That's a really measured take, Jacob, and it's really welcome in this postgame where I'm just like really struggling, frankly. And yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with a word of what you said. They're not a bad team. They're a good team. And like awkward, confusing, and frustrating. Those are 3 pretty good words. I don't disagree with any of them. Thanks, Jacob. Hush with another one. Of course, we'll root for the team in April, but man, when we get eliminated, I cannot wait for this team to get blown up. I can't watch another 82 of this. There's going to be change. Unless they, I mean, every time I say it, it sounds sillier and sillier. Unless they win the championship, there's going to be changes. There's going to be changes. And I think there's going to be changes at the top. And then I think there's going to be changes with the roster. Because, you know, we've been over this. Leon, James was like, oh, so it's the coach, right? And Leon was like, yep, it's the coach. Well, guess what? You only get to play that card once. Thanks, Hush. Drew P, what's going on, Drew? Next year's roster will likely be very different. Yeah, I mean, look, we'll get to that when we get to it. I mean, it's all going to be dependent on Giannis, obviously. But, you know, we'll see. Thanks, Drew. Dom Cappuccini, it's 0-9 all over again. Yep. But this time it's compounded to just one team. Unfortunately, a team in the East. LOL. Let's go Knicks, I guess. Yeah, Dom, you're the spirit of that. Let's go Knicks, I guess. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. How anybody at this point is full on rah-rah sis boom bah for the rest of this thing to play out? Yeah. I don't know. Thanks, Tom. Rob DeLuzma, what's going on, Rob? How are you? What's up, JM? 8-35, 8 for 35 from three-point land isn't beating anyone, but I'm keeping the faith. Remember, we were here with Boston last season. Let's go Knicks. I thought of the Boston. I thought of the Boston thing this last season. The difference is that here's the difference. It's a big difference. And I'm not trying to call you out, Rob, because you're not wrong. To be very clear, you're not wrong. Like, it does have the same feel. I had the exact same thought. Here's where I'm going to push back. Boston had assembled a team that was, as I said many times, and turned out not to be true because we beat them. It was a perfect basketball team because they could go 5 out and they could essentially switch 1 through 5. So the Knicks had assembled this team to try to beat Boston, and yet they had these 2 glaring weak spots in Brunson and Cat that Boston could exploit whenever they wanted. And then on the other end of the floor, Boston could just switch everything, which completely neutered Cat. And so it was a matter of like, all right, is like Brunson and like kick out threes going to be enough? And some tough shot making from OG and some tough shot making from McCall and some tough shot making from like whoever came off the bench. And it turned out that was enough, but like there was a very clear blueprint for why the Boston stuff was so disconcerting. And it is that, oh yeah, Boston in theory should be able to do this to the Knicks, and they are doing it to the Knicks, and the Knicks have no answers. The thing with the Pistons is like, I know I kind of went through it before, but this Pistons offense is not a great offense. They usually oftentimes have one above average shooter on the floor. Like, it should not be this easy. And yet it is. And it should not be this easy for them to completely take Karl Anthony Towns out of basketball games. And yet it is. I get the 8 for 35. I get it. I hear that. It's totally valid. But why is it now 3 straight games against this team they have not been able to hit the broadside of a barn? I don't know. Maybe you're right. I hope you're right. I do. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, we could do stat of the night. So Jonah Kaufman's Nito stat of the night is 8, as in 8 made threes. 5th time that's happened this season. And 2 of the 5, of course, have come against the Detroit Pistons. Just our luck, right? I guess. The only made 3 they had in the first half. That's the 2nd time this season the Knicks have made just 1 3.5. And the other being the first half in Sacramento. 22.9% from 3. 3rd lowest mark of this season. So not good. Not good. All right. Keep it going. Hush Zoo. Man, it's so funny. This team, you always want them to prove you wrong, but they always prove the doubters right. Hilarious stuff. Paul Reed better than Cat and Mitch. He was tonight. That's absolutely true. He was absolutely better than Cat and Mitch tonight. By a decent margin. What is this? We got a Cat quote here. Sorry. Karl Anthony Towns believes regular season games against an opponent mean a lot should you face off against that team in the playoffs. It builds a confidence going into a series. You also have great film to see what did work. Scintillating stuff there from Cat. Yeah, look, man, games 1 and 2 versus Boston just changed everything. Changed everything about how we think about this team. You know what? And then they came through and they played one of the best basketball games I've ever seen them play in game 4. So I don't know. It wasn't just 2 fourth quarters. It wasn't just 2 fourth quarters. They showed up in game 4 in a way that I frankly was not sure that they could, and they did. And they did. So thanks, Hush. Armin, what's going on, Armin? I'm sure you're thrilled. If I hear we beat Boston last year one more time, it rings very hollow to me right now. It rings very hollow to me right now. I'm sorry, but it does. Next up. Sri. What's going on, Sri? What do you think are the key things Tibbs did differently compared to Mike Brown when it came to defending Cade? Do you think we should have blitzed more? I don't think blitzing is the answer because, well, when they blitz effectively, like I thought Brunson, what was the game? Brunson had a few games in during their stretch after the 2-9 stretch, when they were winning games. I thought Brunson had some defensive performances against it didn't make, but against good defenders where I thought his blitzing was really good. The problem is I think Cade's too good of a passer for that, and he could see over the top. And I I just don't think blitzing with Brunson is effective, again, because Cade is so – is he a tier A passer? No, he's not a tier A passer. He's not Luka. He's not LeBron. He's not, Jokic. But he's like whatever the next tier is down, he's right there. And at that height, he could do so much damage. So I don't think the blitzing works. I think, if I'm being honest, I think Cade has just gotten better. Like, Cade was really bad in that series. His decision-making was bad. He turned the ball over a ton. He's become a more confident jump shooter. And in that series, you just had no fear whatsoever if you were the Knicks letting him pull up. Like, you wanted him to pull up. If he pulled up, that was a win. And I know he's shooting it poorly this season, but he just is shooting it now with so much confidence against the team. So that's another difference. And then the biggest thing is OG was all defense level OG against him in the playoffs. And look, I'm sure that there's other schematic stuff. Again, pushing him to the sideline versus letting him go middle. He will get where he wants to go if you are not physical with him. And they were not physical enough with him. And I put a lot of that on OG and anybody else who took a shot other than freaking Alvarado and Sohan. So, thanks, Sri. Jordan Miller, what's going on? Nice to see Cat for one quarter tonight. Yeah, he put the cape on, right? Put the cape on. On offense, by the way. On offense. He showed up on offense. Let's be very clear about that. He showed up on offense tonight for one quarter. Just calling it like it is. Thanks, Jordan. Haitian with another one. We have slowly gone away from what we loved about this team. We talked about the fork in the road, and here we are. We clearly took the wrong exit. You always have a way with words, man. Good team ain't it. Dolan won't give Leon another coach. No. I don't think he will. And the tough part is so you hired Mike Brown. Well, I don't want to go down this road. It's too early to go down that road. But they are to me. It's not that they're unrecognizable from the 23-24 team. That's not accurate. But, you see this happen to teams. But usually it's because of age. And oh, this good player, this good role player left, and that good role player left, and it's too far gone. But even then, you get the remnants, right? This is different. They fucked with the chemistry, man. It's like when you're making sauce, and you're like, a little bit more salt, and then you add that one big pinch of salt, and it's like, ugh, this is not edible now all of a sudden. It's very frustrating. Thanks, Haitian. KBN, what's going on, KBN? The season ended again. I am ready for change. Man, it's just a frustrating team. It's a really frustrating team. Thanks, man. Hush with another one. Thanks, Hush. 3 blowouts, and Mike Brown is hugging up on Bickerstaff. Well, he's a nice guy, so. Hug Draymond, all smiles like Fizz. Absolute clown stuff. This guy is our leader of the Knicks. Look, he's a very, very different guy than Tom Thibodeau, and that is what they wanted. I said it at the time. I've said it many times since. Andrew Claudio has said it many times since. The most important job description, or most important line of the job description for New York's head coach after Tom Thibodeau was that they were not Tom Thibodeau. Who they actually were and what philosophies and ethos they brought to the table were so much less important than the fact that they were not Tibbs. because there were enough people in the organization who were sick of Tibbs. That's all it was about. That's all it was ever about. And, it's not going great. Parrish Duggar, what's going on, Parrish? This will be the best thing to happen to the players who won't feel they can't beat Detroit. Hold on, I got to read that again. This will be the best thing to happen to the players who won't feel they can't beat Detroit. Will feel they can beat Detroit. You mind fucked me. And the pods and fans who can stop saying we should win a chip. Oh, so I think I got that part. So you're saying this was like the wake-up call we all needed? Yeah, maybe. Might be right. Thanks, Parrish. Varpat, what's going on? Thank you for the generous contribution, Var. I'm so mad. I hate to see Mike Brown smiling after the game with JB Bickerstaff. As a fan who invests time and money into this team, the only ROI we want is effort. And I feel dumb. Like these millionaires don't even care. Some of them care. And look, I shouldn't even say that. They all care. But it doesn't matter how much talent you have. If you're going to win against real teams, against teams that bring the level of intensity that a Pistons team does and has the talent to back it up, you need a collective will. You need to be together. And the one thing that this team is not and has not been all season long, they have not been together. All of the petty bullshit that is the reason why they looked like shit for 3.5 months last year. And yes, I'm talking specifically about the starting five. All of the petty bullshit that is why they look like shit for 3.5 months is the same reason why you see games like this. It's just petty bullshit. That's all it is. These guys they are not in the same foxhole. I don't know how many different foxholes there are. I don't know if there's 3 foxholes, 4 foxholes, but they're not in the same foxhole. That's what you need. They've never been in the same since they assembled this team after the first couple months. They have not been in the same foxhole together. And they, again, I don't know, was it by dumb luck or what that they pulled it together enough in the playoffs? But I don't know. Anthony Perino, what's going on, Anthony? You are overreacting. Maybe I am. This team is not likable now? Come on, man. Get it together. LOL. The cat thing is a real issue, but we missed wide open shots. If you like this team, God bless you. I'm jealous. I wish I liked watching this team. I like watching. Look, don't get me wrong. When they were kicking the shit out of the Sixers, that was a lot of fun. When they pick any game, beating the Nets by 5,000 points, winning the cup, that was a lot of fun. There were a lot of fun moments. I'm talking about the team itself. Do you like this team? Do you feel an emotional attachment to this roster? If you do, I'm jealous. Truly. Thank you, Anthony. Darius, what's going on, Darius? Thanks for the contribution, man. A team takes on the personality of the coach, and Mike Brown is too soft. The team lacks fight. They are soft. Look, they lost a lot of games against a lot of good teams last year. So it's not all Mike Brown. I can promise you that. It's not all Mike Brown. Has Mike Brown fixed the problems? No. Thanks, Darius. Appreciate the contribution. Kevin Danishevsky, good old John. I still have faith. JB, very good tonight. I'm glad you have faith, Kev. You are usually on the positive end of things, so I appreciate that. Parrish with another one. Sounds of panic over a rusty game. So whack, Mac. Okay. Well, listen. We'll find out. We'll find out. What? Pistons didn't look rusty. Why didn't Pistons look rusty? Again, I'm not making this up. I kind of want to go find the quote now. It's not even a beat reporter who said this. Oh, behind the scenes, the Knicks are saying this game matters a lot to them. No. It wasn't reported. The head coach got up there on the fucking podium and was asked, I don't even know if he was asked a question about it. Maybe he was asked a question about it, but he said, yeah, after the way that they've handled us the last 2 games, this game means more. He said it. We didn't say it. I didn't say it. Mike Brown said it. So if Mike Brown is up there telling you this game means more, I'm supposed to brush this off as rust? When the other team didn't look rusty, they had the same amount of time off. No, that's not true. They were rusty. They started 2 of 8. And because, or whatever it was, 1 of 8 or 1 of 9, wherever the fuck they started off. And because they started off that and they couldn't hit those shots, they only won by how many points? Sorry, I forgot already. They only won by 15 as opposed to 25. Come on. Thanks, Parrish. Dwayne Piper, thanks for the contribution. Appreciate you. Chris Carter, what's going on, Chris? How you doing, man? Might not be fair to single out Cat. I'm really not trying to single out Cat. Anyway. But he doesn't have the grit to be a great Knick. Oh, you're singling out Cat. Okay. When is the last time he has risen to the occasion? $53 million. Step up. Instead, he whines, he pouts. Terrible leader. He's not a leader. Come on. That's the other part about the Cat thing. Like, great guy, great human being. When is anybody referred to him as a leader? No. Your leaders of your team need to placate him on the basketball court to get a maximum performance from him. He is not your leader. Leaders motivate. Leaders inspire. Leaders lead. Look, he's had some big games in big spots. He's hit some massive shots against this Pistons team last year in the playoffs. He has had big moments as a Knick. They have not been consistent enough in big games for my liking. Thank you, Chris. Hush with another one. Safe to say down 20 against Detroit, we are not coming back. No, they did not come back. Thanks, Hush. Dwayne with another one. 3 games against the Pistons, all blowouts. I can imagine what's going on in that locker room. So here's the thing. You would hope that they're like super angry, right? I would wager a lot of money. Not that I have a lot of money to wager, but to the extent that I have some money to wager, I would wager all of it. That there are some people in that locker room who are very angry. And that there are some people in that locker room who probably are just like, it's fine. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Is that locker room tonight, I guarantee you, was not a universally angry locker room. Thanks, Dwayne. And you know who's not angry is Mike Brown, clearly. Sam, what's going on, Sam? Outmatched in all 3 versus Detroit. Very concerning. That's one way to put it. Yep, I agree. I'm concerned. Jason, what's going on, Jason? I don't know if I have ever seen such a crash out from you, John. Don't give up on this team yet. P.S. I loved the team before the 2-9 stretch. Well, good. I'm glad for you, Jason. I know what they are. How about that, Jason? I know what this team is. Or at least I think I do. And now it's up to them to prove me wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. Would love to be proven wrong. And they'll get the chance. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. They'll have a chance to prove me and a lot of other people wrong. Let's see if they do. Let's see. Thanks, Jason. Rich with another one. Sometimes I feel like I'm rooting for this team against my will. No, it's never hard to like. I get what you're saying, Rich. But it's not that you're rooting for them against your will. I feel like you're rooting for them against your better judgment. It's like you watch a game and you see how the game is unfolding, and you're like, man, I know when I'm watching a team that has it, and I know when I'm watching a team that doesn't. And if like when they cut it to 12 with 4 minutes and change left, whatever it was. If you felt in that moment, like if you were getting sucked in, you're like, why am I getting sucked back in? I think that's the sensation you're kind of talking about because you know better. You know better. Thanks, Rich. Shamoon, what's going on, Shamoon? The loss of the season. That's an interesting question. It's an interesting conversation because the MLK game, disaster in its own way. The first Pistons game, disastrous in its own way. A couple other ones, disastrous in their own way. I think this absolutely has an argument for the loss of the season. 100%. Cat gets the brunt of it, but OG and McCall did not enjoy playing basketball. Do not enjoy playing basketball. They don't seem to enjoy playing basketball on this team all the time. OG especially. They're so close, which is why it's so heartbreaking. Yeah. They're close in the sense that, like, if everybody played up to their capabilities and everybody played together up to the ability that they can play together with each other, then they're championship material. And yet, again, what confidence do you have that those things are going to happen? Is my question. Thanks, Shamoon. Michael Aaron, what's going on, Michael? At least with Cat, I know what I'm getting. That's very true. Truth Serum, McCall and OG's inconsistencies are more disappointing and frustrating to me on a regular basis. The idea of them is better than the reality. Am I nuts? No, I mean, like, I'm never disappointed in Cat's. Like, the first half from Cat, like, I wasn't even slightly. I was very disappointed in the defense. Which actually goes right to your point. I was extremely disappointed in the defensive effort from OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges and just the wings in general. The general defensive malaise and lack of everything. The Cat stuff is never surprising to me. When Cat plays well in a good game, in a big game, I am shocked. So no, I don't think it's crazy at all of you to say that. Not at all. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate that, man. Sheldon Gomes, what's going on, Sheldon? Jose having the best individual defensive possession on Cade is both inspiring and sad. Yeah, him or Sohan. Look, it either matters to you or it doesn't. And there were a lot of people that defended him tonight that it didn't matter enough to them to really bear down. And he's awesome. Like, he's going to finish top 3 in MVP. He's going to be first team All-NBA. He's going to deserve every accolade he gets. He's awesome. But you gotta make a guy feel you. And that's a look in the, it's a look in the mirror thing. But again, when it's not just one guy or not just two guys, when it's basically everybody and nobody has made the commitment, what does that tell you about where this team is? Again, the coach came out and told you the game should matter more. Thanks, Sheldon. Hush with another one. On a positive, You're in a sick ass room, J-Mac. Yeah. So this is the media. So my mom and her lovely husband, John, live down here in West Palm Beach, Florida, where so they used to have a condo, and then about 2-3 years ago, sold it, got a house that has this, it's a game room actually. So you can't see it, but there's like a game table over here and closets full of games, and obviously nice stuff in the back, a little putting green to my left here, which is why you see the putters in the background. It is a very nice room. I will say that. It's a very nice room, and one that we are lucky enough to be able to enjoy whenever we come down here. So that's cool. Thanks, Hush. I'll pass along the compliment. Although my mom's probably watching. Dwayne with another one. Thank you for the multiple contributions tonight, Dwayne. Just hate when we don't show up in a game we obviously should have been motivated to play in. Just terrible, in my opinion. There's no excuse for it. Again, whoever had the comment earlier tonight where it's like, why am I still trying to make excuses for this team, or whatever the comment was about excuses? Like, why? It was the first game out of the break. They were off for 7 days. This team has wiped the floor with you on consecutive occasions. They are out there. Their coach is out there. Their best player is out there. Everybody who has a mic in front of their face is out there saying, we don't think shit of this team, this Knicks team. We don't fear them. We don't respect them. We don't think anything of them. In as many words, that's what they've said. And then your coach gets up and says, this game should mean more. And then they go out there and do that. And I'm supposed to sit here and fucking keep my cool? And I'm supposed to sit here and brush it off like, they didn't shoot the three well tonight, and OG's still working his way back, and it's fine. It's going to be fine. It's all fine. Like, no. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. They haven't earned that. Come on. Give me a fucking break. Thank you, Dwayne. Joe Vogel, what's going on, Joe? The team will be judged in the playoffs, John, not 3 regular season games, just like they weren't defined by 0-8 last year. The shooting will normalize. Okay. And again, I will refer you back to last season's playoffs, when a really beneficial call at the end of a game and a literal handful of really incredible shots, because all the last 4 games were all one possession games in the series that they won. Give them credit for winning them. Oh, by the way, shout out to Campaign. Got signed with the Philadelphia 76ers this week, or is planning on signing with the Philadelphia 76ers this week. If Campaign isn't on the basketball team last year, they go down 0-1, and I don't want to think about what the rest of that series looks like if they go down 0-1, because I don't think it would have ended very well. And then completely had 2 of the greatest fourth quarter performances in the history of the franchise against Boston, which made up for the fact that they were absolutely outmatched for the first 3 quarters of both of those basketball games. And they deserve all the credit for that. But we have to stop talking about the playoffs last year like it was some sort of, see, this is who they really are. That's not what happened. They played like shit against Detroit. They played like shit for the majority of their quarters against Boston. And then they had the most epic collapse in the history of the franchise. And then they didn't show up the next game to make up for it against Indiana. And then they went down with a whimper in Game 6. I get it. They were a game away from the finals, so you can't take that away from them. But can we stop pretending like last season's playoff run was something that it was not? They did not magically transform into some team that suddenly played together and figured it out. The starting lineup in the playoffs last year was getting outscored by 9 points per 100 possessions. They were terrible. They didn't figure anything out. Thanks, Joe. Anthony, what's going on, Anthony? I really love this team. I don't love Cat. That's it. Well, unfortunately, Cat's the most expensive player on the team. So it's kind of tough to love this team if you don't love a very prominent player. But if you love this team, God bless you. Matt, G, what's going on, Matt? 5.3 outplayed 53. So I'll be honest with you. I had to look up who forgot his freaking first name. Talu Smith was. And I actually didn't feel that bad about myself after I looked up who Talu Smith was, because Talu Smith has only played in 7 professional basketball games before this game tonight. He's on a 2-way contract with the Pistons. He was actually waived by the Pistons last year, and they re-signed him. So, yeah, Talu Smith tonight, better than, for me, in terms of impact on winning. I thought he had more of an impact on winning than Cat did. To say nothing of Paul Reed. Where did Paul Reed finish? 18 points on 9 shots? That dude was awesome. It was awesome tonight. Thanks, Matt. Zio Golding, I think that's it. McCall's defense is concerning. We're way past concerning. He does so many little things on defense that help them win, and yet there are times where you need him to do some big stuff. And when's the last time he's done big stuff defensively to help them? First half, Cat was bizarre. That was bizarre to you? I didn't find it bizarre at all. I found it to be the least bizarre thing I've seen in a long time. Can't dominate those bigs, the indie game as well. Cat hasn't dominated anyone in months. He had a stretch after he got gouged above the eye where he came out and dominated, where he was dominant against the Nuggets. He had a stretch. And he was awesome after he came back into that game. Was it dominant? I mean, yeah, I mean, look, he finished with what? He finished with 25 points or something like that. So you want to call that a dominant effort? He was really good. He was really, really good in that game. It's one game. In like the last, 2 months? It's what he is. Thanks. Not bizarre to me at all. J-Rock, what's going on, man? Detroit better be careful. The last team to beat us this bad all season lost to us in 6. Yeah. Oh. We'll see what happens. Open-minded moan. I think I got that. It's time for Knicks fans to give Cade his credit, and this Pistons team is here to stay. Y'all be letting Mitch off the hook too easy to me. Yeah, Mitch, I didn't think Mitch was good tonight. I thought Mitch was I did not think his defensive presence was strong at all. I thought he just let the Pistons off the hook way too often. Undisciplined. Undisciplined was my word of the day for the defensive performance that we saw tonight. I thought they were, as a team, undisciplined, and I thought he was undisciplined individually. Cade's awesome. Cade rocks. I really don't have anything left to say about Cade on the negative. Like, the shooting thing has been something that I thought would rear its ugly head, and I still think against a great defense, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tougher for this team to generate points. Is there a great defense in the East? Knicks aren't a great defense. Boston isn't a great defense. Cavs aren't a great defense. Sixers aren't a great defense. Raptors aren't a great defense. I mean, the Raptors might be the best defense of the bunch, and their offense is horrible. So, like, Pistons If you don't have to face a great defense, maybe that, path is there for them. The path is there for them. Next up. Duran, what's going on, man? Does it bug anyone else that our softest player flexes the most? Hashtag pissed but paid. Oh, man. That's a... Duran, you just summed up Karl Anthony Towns in a nutshell, man. In a nutshell. That's Cat. Beloved of Faith, what's going on? Last regular season, the Knicks went 1-3 versus Detroit. All I got. Yeah. They did. And it was funny because the first game that they played against Detroit, they absolutely whooped them. Like, that was the game Detroit had 1 million turnovers to start the game. The Knicks looked incredible. It was one of our first watch parties, I think, of the year. Yeah, I guess. Again, it's not about Detroit for me. It's about the Knicks. This is not a Detroit conversation. This isn't a Detroit conversation. This is a Knicks conversation for me. Thanks, man. Phrase Vader, what's going on, Phrase? Should we start to ask if the lights are too bright for this team as a whole? Great job as always, KFS gang. Let's freaking go Knicks. No, I don't think it's a lights thing. If it was a lights are too bright thing, then they would have folded in the biggest moments of the playoffs. And that's the one thing that they don't do. They don't, when a game is tight and you need to kind of really summon something over the last 5 minutes of a close game or last 10 minutes or whatever it is. Like they that's the one thing that they can do. And they do often do it. That's the thing. And I think that's why so many people, maybe justifiably, just refuse to let go of the rope with this team because they have had so many of those moments in addition to games like this. The problem is that they are, both of these things are part of their DNA. So it's not that the lights are too bright. It's that there is something preventing this team from reaching a collective level together that their talent says that they should be able to reach against really good teams. That's the thing. They can play exceptionally well against bad teams, against mediocre teams, against good teams. When they face really good teams, I feel like, and teams that play them a certain way, I don't know. It just seems very rare that they're really up for the challenge. And they play to their capability. Like, and it's, to me, it's so much of it is the starting five. But that's, yeah. A lot of it's the starting five. Thanks, Frizz. OG team, what's going on, man? Shit. At least we survived a Sarr clamping Brunson narrative. Even back then, when the Pistons were dog shit, they still fought us hard. I give OG a pass. All right. Well, it's fine if you want to give OG a pass tonight. He needs to be better. He needs to be much better. Look, if you think OG is going to be the biggest argument why you toss out this game is OG. OG was so bad. And if OG is OG, game might go differently. But he wasn't, so it didn't. Hush Zoo with another one. Should we have looked into getting KD? I mean, I was the only one saying it at the time. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I don't know. KD, not exactly great for a locker room, but it's like, I think this locker room would be fine inheriting a mercenary, and that's what KD is. And you know what he is? He's a mercenary that loves basketball, and he's about, on the basketball court at least, he's about the right things. So I think he would be the right type of mercenary for this club. But that ship sailed. I don't know how to pronounce this. Asa Hemmen, something like that. It's clear Detroit is intent on beating our ass every time we match up. It irks me that this team does not get up for this big money, discordant effort. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, why did they not get up for this? Someone's got to explain that to me. Why couldn't they get up for this in the same way Detroit did? Or are they just not on Detroit's level at all? Which is like, that's the other part. That's the tough part about tonight, is it's like, how much of this is they didn't get up for this? How much of this is Detroit is just that much better than them? Maybe it's a little of column A, it's a little of column B. I don't know. Thanks, man. Haitian with another one. What's going on? Thank you for all the generosity tonight, Haitian. We appreciate it. You know that. Yankees did the same thing to Girardi. More collaborative doesn't always mean better results. Too many cooks can fuck up a meal as well. Petty bullshit not being dealt with is on Leon. I'm done. Well, look. Collaboration. What a dumb fucking interview that was. There's been good stuff about the collaboration. Front office wants to play the kids more. Kids have played more. I think it's good that the kids have played more. That's all good. Like, I guess you solved a problem or something that they thought of as a problem, and it's fair to characterize it as a problem. You did not solve any of the problems, So, yeah. Thanks, Haitian. Haitian with another one. You're on a roll tonight. Tibbs doesn't say what Mike Brown said. He'd say, you win or you learn. You never hype up the other team by letting them know they've got your fucking number. I haven't seen all, obviously, because I'm doing this, but I'll check into Twitter real quick and I'll see. I'm assuming you're talking about, or I don't even know if you're talking about something after the game or you're talking about something from before the game, or the comment. Yeah, you're talking about the pregame stuff. Okay, yeah. Look, I always appreciated that Tibbs said nothing to the press. I always thought it was smart. But Mike Brown talks more. So, What a weird quote. I'm sorry. Hold on. Cal was asked what changed in the third quarter. Got a chance to get some shots up, and I wanted to capitalize on those opportunities. Happy I was able to get us a spark. What? All right. Thanks, Haitian. Zamps, what's going on, man? First time, long time. Hypothetically speaking. Well, thanks for contributing. If Leon is out and the team gets knocked out in the second round, is Jalen getting extended? Are we looking at a full reset or a tank? Well, they'll never tank under James Dolan. I did read with interest the proposed plan, I guess, to spin off the Knicks and Rangers, but that was followed by all the usual reporting about that this does not mean that James Dolan has any intention to sell the Knicks and so on and so forth, which, I always take that stuff with a grain of salt because that's what you say. If you want someone to make you an offer, you can't refuse. But they'll never tank. And I don't even want to think about that. As far as Brunson goes, if Leon's out, I don't know. Look, we can sit here and be critical of Leon Rose. I have been at times. I want him to see this through. I have faith in, despite the fact that they may have made some missteps, I have faith in the front office to some extent. And I think that like they are part of something like, again, if you fire Rose, like, does that chip away at your culture even more? Like, does it get to a point where Brunson looks around and be like, all the people that I came here to be around are now gone, other than, I guess, Josh Hart. So I don't know. It's not a world I want to think of yet, quite frankly, but and let me push back on one. Let me revert on one thing I said before. If they do crap out in the playoffs and Dolan is like starts getting antsy, I do think if Leon swings a Giannis trade, that's probably enough to. That he'll if he goes to Dolan and like, listen, this year didn't go well, but we got, it was always about Giannis, and we just needed to wait the time to do it. I don't know. Maybe that happens. We'll see. It's good hypothetical. I wish I had a better answer for you. Thanks, Amps. Dr. Crawford with another one. This may be unfair, but I may be annoyed if they blow out the Rockets on Saturday. I'd probably be a little annoyed. I could see them blowing out the Rockets or losing to the Rockets. I could see anything. Nothing this team does surprise me anymore. But yeah, would that be unfair? No, it would not be unfair. It would not be unfair. I don't think so. Brolic Jesus, I hope nobody has a burner account after this loss. Yeah. No, I don't think so. Thanks, Brolic. Anolesek? Think I got that? We lost. They are the best in the East now. At least Tibbs stopped them. Anyway, still a lot of things to clean up. Yeah. Look, Tibbs didn't stop the Pistons. Tibbs did some good things coaching in that series. I think his, there was some stuff he did with Cade. I thought that worked. I mean, the biggest thing was just putting OG Anunoby on him, but like that was low-hanging fruit. I thought defensively the Knicks did really well to keep the Pistons from exploiting Brunson and Cat in the Pistons series. They did well enough. I think that was the biggest thing. I don't think the Knicks did anything great offensively against Detroit in that series. There was Brunson. Brunson was really good at times. So, yeah. Thanks, man. Manny Campos, what's going on, Manny? You mentioned a few times that the starting five doesn't work. I've mentioned it probably about 100 times by now. In your opinion, what would be the best starting five if salaries and status didn't matter? There's no good. This is going to sound messed up because I don't blame this player. I really don't blame this player. There was a part of me that thinks that if you move Macau to the bench, it might. I think it might improve things. And I do not want to pin, to be very clear, I do not want to pin the starting five's issues on Macau. I cannot emphasize that enough. They are not on him. I actually think he gets a lot more blame than he probably deserves. But if you're asking me if there was a move that I would make given this roster and like not making any trades, because I just don't think you can't move Cat to the bench. You can't bench you can't do it. You can't bench Cat. I just no. You can't bench Cat. Cat needs to play better. That's what Cat needs to do. But I think it would probably be McCall, and I'd probably start, Deuce if he was healthy. But now probably Shamet. And then Mikal Bridges becomes a super sub, playing 30 minutes a game. Thanks, Manny. Haitian with another one. Does faith in Leon outweigh Dolan's trigger finger? We might find out, Haitian. We might find out. I hope not. I don't want this season to end in disaster. I really don't. For as much as I am ready to be done with this roster, I don't want this season to end in disaster. I want to continue to believe in this team. I want to think this team could reach their ceiling. They get at this part of me that I think I'm just hanging on to a ghost. I think that's probably what it is. I think I'm just hanging on to a ghost. That 23-24 team was too magical for its own good. I should probably stop doing that. Anyway. Thanks, Haitian. My goodness. Another one. This one. We're going to save that. Okay. Zeem. I think we could all use another week in Florida. I'm here for another couple of days. We leave on Saturday afternoon. I'm getting back. I'll probably get to my house about an hour before tip-off for the Rockets game. So, yeah, no more Knicks for me on this trip, which can't say I'm disappointed in. Thanks, Z. And then, all right, is this the last one, Kev? All right, last one. We end with Pundertaker. Another very, very, very generous super chat. Thank you, Pundertaker. Respect for the 10 years as a teacher's spouse. I know the grind. OG and McCall have their flaws, but they have shown the ability to rise to the occasion. Unless we are landing Giannis, I don't see how the Knicks are better next year without them. OG has always been the key. There's a reason that I was so thrilled when they got him is because I believed that he unlocked everything. I believed that he was the perfect wingman for Jalen Brunson from an X's and O's, a basketball perspective. I still believe that. Look at the plus minus those guys had together when they were first together on the team. Like, it was insane. It was an insane plus minus. It was like fake. So they need OG, because if they got rid of OG, they would just have to find someone who does all the things that OG does for this team. Hit threes, play great individual defense against big wings and big point guards like Cade, like he's supposed to do. He didn't do tonight. Be an off-ball demon. All this stuff. Like, they need that. As far as Bridges, again, if you get rid of Bridges, who are you getting rid of him for? They need someone to do all the stuff. The thing with Bridges is, like, you just wish there was more of a physicality to his game on both ends of the court. I was so freaking annoyed. There was a possession early in the game where the Knicks the Pistons missed, and Bridges did not even attempt to box out. He just face guarded, and it was called a foul. And he was like arguing the call. I'm like, why are you arguing the call? Like, stuff like that from Bridges annoys me. Obviously the fact that he just doesn't have the ability, it seems at this point, to really limit your Cade Cunninghams and your Jaylen Browns and, of the world is just really hard to have a guy that you are that dependent on to just not offer the level of on-ball defense in those situations that you need. So I just, again, like with him, I just want him to be better. I don't know what they would do, if they crashed out in the playoffs, but I don't think it would be easy, but I do think that there would be changes because ultimately I could sit here and I could tell you all the ways that OG is important to the team. I could tell you all the ways that Bridges is important to the team. I could tell you all the ways that Hart's important to the team. Obviously, I could tell you all the ways that Cat, in theory, is important to the team. We could do this for every player on the roster. If the mix of personalities is not it, and you tried replacing the last coach to change whatever that blend was, and it's still not adding up, then you might just need to swap out a big piece for something else. And that's a conversation for another day, but I don't know. I thought it was a conversation that was worth having last summer, and clearly I was in the minority. And I think it's going to be a conversation they have to revisit this summer. What? Hopefully I'm wrong. Thanks, Plunder Taker. I appreciate the immense generosity tonight, really. And thanks to everybody for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. What do we got coming up? We got obviously post-game coming up after the Rockets game, where I will be back in the friendly confines. Hopefully leave this ugly taste that's currently in my mouth down here in Florida. We got Jeff and Sean should be coming fresh with after school tomorrow, like usual. And yeah, all the usual stuff that you come to expect will be coming your way in short order. Shout out to all the contributors tonight. Shout out to everybody watching, listening. Be sure to support your friends at Knicks Film School. Give us a follow on social at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. Got the Patreon content, got the Substack content, and of course, if you want to leave a kind review or 5-star rating, you can do that as well. All right, I will see y'all on Saturday after the game. Yeah, that's it. Talk to you later. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.